Hi, welcome back to part 2 of this SOG Trident 2 knife review. And previously we talked about the knife straps being actually a poor quality leather strap. As you can see here, the strap is actually like started cracking, and it just starts. It looks really dry and start to peel off. The other problem is the tolerance of the length of this strap is not super high, and if this leather swells, you can see that there's a chance this knife actually might come unattached by itself. So I think this knife has really high quality on the knife building, but in terms of the leather sheath making, it's not really up to the same standard. Now moving on to the next thing is the knife is actually quite heavy. I think it's about a third of a pound weight, but just from the design of it, you can see obviously this part is stainless steel. By the way, it's magnetic. I can tell you that, as well as this. So both the handguard and the butt cap is stainless steel, which is a pretty heavy metal, honestly. I mean, they could definitely reduce the amount of the metal used here to reduce some weight. The knife is about a quarter of an inch thick, which I think it's not a problem really. It increases the strength. So so the main thing that I would like to see is reduce the weight in terms of the handguard and the butt cap. Next thing up is the knife is actually not cheap. I paid 280 New Zealand dollars, which is approximately about 220 US dollars at the time or so. And this thing is actually made in Taiwan. Hopefully you can see here. Anyways, it's printed here Taiwan. So I generally don't have a problem with Taiwanese made knives. I think they can be high quality, even as high as US made knives, and sometimes even higher. I mean, for this knife, the knife itself is made to a quality level that I can't actually complain at all. Perhaps there's like a little dimple here that just come with it. I can't really help that, but otherwise the knife itself is made to be a very high quality level. The sheath can't say the same. But for the Taiwanese made knife, I really doubt that they should be charging customers for 210 US dollars or so for it. I think they can definitely reduce it maybe by 60 or 70 US dollars. But otherwise, I think the quality for its build, it doesn't really bother me at all. It's just the price I pay is ever so slightly bit high. The sheath is not ambidextrous. As you can see, it's made into the particular shape of the knife. So you can't actually, well, I think you can actually force it in this way, but you're going to damage the sheath. So you can only really put it this way. Of course, carrying the knife, also, you are limited to the preferred right hand only carrying. The sheath has a few quality problems. I mentioned it before in the part 1 video. As you can see, the stitch here, it come off the first day I got it. It was just like this, and stitch here is not very good either. And needless to mention that this thing here is just cracking and like peeling off. The other thing is the drainage hole. I think it was meant to be a drainage hole, but the execution of it was not correct, and it does not actually seem to be able to drain any water out of it, or if any at all, it will be very little. So I think the quality of the sheath is just if you don't really have a close look, it seems to be fine. But when you have a close look, it's just here and there, it's just not so great. Now there are a couple of positive points and negative points just based on my speculation. Now, number one, I think this blade finish is very highly reflective. I've never really had a knife like this before. It's I don't know if it's called a Scotch Brite finish, but it's not just a satin finish. It's just like after satin finish, they polished it with some kind of polishing compound. So it's not same. It's not the same to mirror polish because it doesn't actually fully reflect what is in front of it. But under sunlight, this thing would be almost like a mirror. It's just going to reflect a lot of light. In terms of survival, it would be good. Like, see, you can reflect a lot of light. You can reflect the light to signal a helicopter or something, or in the darkness, and if any light is available, this thing, you pull it out, it's going to scare away just about anyone who's actually not crazy. I mean, no one's going to come and take on you. You know, a shiny knife is a scary knife. Okay, I mean, I don't care what you say, but like a knife with black coat, it's way less scary than a knife which is actually very shiny, reflective. So I think in terms of self-defense, it's a very good choice as well. If you got this, pull this out, and you go, hey, you want to come take my money? You're gonna talk to this guy, you know. Anyways, the negative based on my speculations, there's a couple of things like the. It's strange. This knife has like this thing that looks like a finger coil that allows you to actually do fine cutting, but on the contrary, they put this full hand guard here. So you want to do some fine cutting, your thumb is going to press against this pretty pointy hand guard, and you're probably not going to find it super comfortable. So that's one thing. The other thing is the accessory pouch on this sheath is actually not big enough to hold a normal sized Swiss Army knife, which means you pretty much only can carry this thing with you. Or if you don't like, say, oh, one day I want to go out there and like I want to carry something like a multi-tool. This sheath doesn't really carry much more than that. I mean, the length of this sheath is not. I took a measurement. Normal Swiss Army knife is 91 millimeters long, closed, and this thing is just a little bit short of 91 millimeters. So you can't actually stick the Swiss Army knife in here and fully close it. So that's one drawback. I think they could have made this thing more versatile, but well, I guess you just can't have it all. The hollow grind knife here is actually, should you ever have to use it for some kind of batoning or survival use, hollow grind is not one of those grinds that people prefer to use on their chopping tasks, honestly. There's way more options like flat grind or a convex grind, which both are good for chopping and batoning through wood. Not that I recommend you to use this knife for that kind of use, because it's in part one I already mentioned this very fine tip, and honestly it's not a very long knife, so batoning maybe not super ideal. Anyways, that's my take on the SOG Trident 2.0 knife. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time. Bye.